You're listening to Living with Louie. Hi, folks, and welcome to this edition of Living with Louie. And I'd like to start out this particular episode with taking a moment to just say thank you to some of the folks that have gone to GoFundMe and are supporting the show. And just want to say I appreciate the donations. It all helps. We do have production costs and maintenance costs, equipment costs. But at any rate, I'd like to say thank you to Terry, Kathy, Chuck, Danella, Taylor, and Nancy. Those are just a few that have recently gone to GoFundMe and made a donation to keep this show alive and going. So I want to say thank you to them, and your support is greatly appreciated. So in today's episode, what I'd really like to discuss is Showtime and what that I heard this term recently. I've seen it popping up a couple of places, and I was kind of curious as to exactly what they were referencing. When I did a little bit of hunting around, and I found out exactly what it does reference, and um, it's so true. And so, to give you some context as to what this meant or what I'm talking about, we're not talking about Showtime, is nobody, not one person, I don't think, wants to admit or have the world see that perhaps they are struggling and perhaps that they're being challenged. And that's true for no matter what the situation is. But certainly in the case of me and my Louis body, I would like to appear as normal as possible. And I think that's true for a lot of folks. And so, what we mean when we say uh, showtime is when I get around people, around friends and family, I try my best to mask the struggle that's actually going on inside. I try to give the best appearance that everything's okay. And I've come to realize that just the level of resources in your brain that are necessary to have this showtime, those in and of themselves are going to wear on you, and they're going to create stress for you. The the holidays are coming up very rapidly. Uh, we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving, I guess, next week, and we have Christmas coming right behind it. And this is a time when you're going to most want to put on your Showtime face. With that said, the other thing that for the first time this year, I am going to try to avoid some of the more crowded family activities because of the amount of overstimulation that it puts on me. Then it's like I can cope for a while, but then it gets to be overwhelming for me, and that causes me a lot of stress, and it's like a vicious cycle that snowballs downhill and makes me very uncomfortable. So I'm doing the best I can this year to avoid those kinds of situations. I mean, one of the things that I think happens when you have a big family gathering, and I'm blessed to have a big family, and a family that loves me and supports me and wants things to be good. Um, there's a lot of conversations, and when you get all these people around, there's a whole lot of conversations that are taking place. And I don't know about you, but with my brain, the way it works, uh, I can only take in so much so fast, and it's certainly nowhere near what I was able to years ago, a couple of years ago. So you get all these conversations and all these different participants, and all of a sudden your brain is going into overload or overstimulation, and the show starts to break down. And I know for me, the only thing that I can do is exit that situation and get out of that situation. Sometimes when we've had gatherings here at the house, I will just excuse myself and go to my bedroom and retreat to a place where I can give my brain some peace and quiet for a few and unwind um, that that stress ball that I've experienced. Um, so I just think that as we get ready to go into the holidays, that you need to. I know I need to plan the best I can to have the best outcome. So I do. Me and my wife have talked about it. We probably will make some visits to um, our children that live close by, and maybe just pop in and say hello. And then when I start to feel uncomfortable, we can pop back out. Um, and in other words, I feel like I need to be in the driver's seat of um, of the environments that I'm exposing myself to, if you will, so that I don't get overwhelmed, overstimulated, and have a lot of things start to happen that make me uncomfortable. Uh, it it does break my heart to feel this way or be this way when we are at the holidays, when family gets together, and um, I I I love my family. I love being around my family, but I also know what happens to me when I get into these situations where I'm overly stimulated. And I know that the Showtime thing is when I heard the term and I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, I'm so guilty of that because I don't want people to see what how it really how bad it can be, how it can get having Lewy body, but um, it's it just goes back to what I just said earlier: is that I don't think anybody wants the world to view them as disabled or handicapped in any way, and I think we all want to feel as though everything's okay and we're normal. although I'm not quite sure what the definition of normal is, um, because I don't. Maybe it's just an illusion that uh, maybe it's a feeling we get that's socially acceptable that we consider to be normal. But at any rate, I know that for me, this coming holiday is going to be different, and I certainly hope that um, my family can understand uh, why it has to be different. Things are changing. I know that uh, um, that the only person that sees how much things are changing is my lovely wife. Yeah. My lovely wife who stands with me through thick, through thin. Uh, she sees what happens and what can happen, uh, and how many times it can change during a day. And she can spot when things are getting to a point where it's becoming a little too much for me, and she's very good at knowing that. Oh, hold on a minute, and reach out to me and say, "Hey, honey, it's okay," and try to reassure me and try to help me um, raise my comfort level. And it's I don't know what I'd do in this world without her. And so I can only say this, Lisa. I love you very much, and I I treasure the time that we have together, and I so much appreciate what you do for me and how you can intervene and come in and comfort me when that's needed. When I'm home here with my wife works. She worries about me all day long when she's at work. And so I have had to try real hard to not let my frustrations and aggravation from the day build up and to the point that it gets unloaded on her, because that's not fair. So I have developed some strategies that have helped me. Um, Writing some things down when I get frustrated sometimes helps, because then I look back at it and I go, that I understand that was frustrating, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. Um, it's 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 a strategy set that I think is necessary, because when she gets home, I want her to feel as though, okay, everything is okay, he is fine, and he's I might be having a rough time, but I'm okay. If that makes any sense to those of you that live with Lewy body like I do, I know that statement makes sense to you. That things can be way off, but you're still okay. Uh, and keeping a good, positive mental attitude as much as possible, uh, that goes a long ways. So as you go into your holidays and as you go into these times with your family members and your loved ones, um, just know that if you need a break, take a break. And I think that whenever I try to push too far, I always pay for it, and so I don't. I try not to do that any longer. Uh, it's I have to be careful how long I let the stage lights be up and the showtime to be put on. Um, I think that even just trying to maintain any level of show, if you will, um, requires a lot of energy that most people don't understand. Um, that's I mean, the whole purpose that I've always had behind doing this podcast is not to go, oh, this is my life. Uh, you know, my purpose behind this has always been so that people can try to understand what someone goes through living with this Lewy body. And I've had several guests on that have told their stories, and I think there's a lot of power in sharing your story. I think that when you share your story, you let people know they're not alone, and also I've gotten feedback through Facebook from people who say, "Well, wow, I listened to this segment and it really helped me to understand why my loved one was behaving in such a way." That's why I do this. That's why I do this, because I want people to understand what it looks like to be on this side looking out, and how it feels. And I try my best to tell people from a place that I'm speaking from my heart and my soul, and trying not to do anything more than raise awareness for Lewy body and help people to understand what it is we go through. And I've also put out there some resources and things like that to try to help people to help their loved ones. And that was the whole purpose behind this. When I started this, I said, if I can help one, it will be all worth it. And we have certainly achieved that and then some. And I never thought that this would be as far reaching as it is. But it only chose to prove to me that this is a message that people need to hear, and people want to hear. People want to understand what's happening. I've seen, as I talked with Jacqueline, we talked a little bit about some of the things that we've seen on Facebook on people giving different types of medications or magic elixirs or snake oil. We try our best here. I try my best to find information and share information that I found with you listeners, just so that you can maybe benefit from it as well as I have. Knowledge is power. That's for certain. So with that, I'd like to say that I hope you and your family have a wonderful holiday season. We will, of course, be having other episodes, but I did want to talk about this show timing and some of the overstimulation that can take place when you're having many conversations with many people going on around you at one time. I did want to kind of hit that before we hit the holidays. So I wish you all a wonderful holiday season. And I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Living with Louie. Thank you. I hope you'll consider going to the GoFundMe Living with Louie podcast and support the show. We've had some donors, and certainly every bit of it is greatly appreciated. So if you can take a minute, and even if it's just $1, is $1 more than what we had. So thank you for considering. We are totally and completely funded by our listeners. So thank you again. We'd like to thank you for joining us for this edition of Living with Louie.